The Battle of the Crater, July 30th, 1864. Man, I'm not a tour guide, I'm not a historian, and I sure ain't no Civil War historian. I'm just trying to give you an idea of the overall look at the battlefield and a feel for what happened that day, you know, during the battle. I try to be straightforward at all my verbiage in the video. I did screw up one thing. I called it the 28th Pennsylvania, but it was actually the 48th. I corrected it in the video. And I'm just reading straight from interpretive signs and park literature. So, and I'm just really, you know, trying to pique your interest in something, and you know, maybe you would read up a little bit more about it, or if you're in the area, you come by and visit, or maybe just seek out something similar in your area. To me, it's really interesting and intriguing, and I've been down there a few times. The first part of this video, I'm just going to go around the crater itself. And, there's a lot of interpretive signs. A lot of them I just scanned over real slow. Feel free to pause it and read it if you have to. There was a lot of automatic signs down there where you push the button and it tells you about the actions of that day that happened at that point in the battlefield and stuff. And there was a lot of people down there that day. There's a lot of traffic always at the daggone crater. And you know, other than that, I'm, you know, talking and discussing what I've read off of them signs and park information, leaflets, flyers, or whatever. So, you know, I mean, it's an amazing story to me, and the fact that it's fascinating that it just happened 15 minutes down the road. It involved everybody: Lee, Grant, Meade, Beauregard, eventually old whatchamacallit from down there, Sherman, down there in Atlanta, got up here towards the end of the siege of Petersburg. Lasted 9.5 months. This battle only lasted 10 hours. It was brought on by a half-baked idea from just a regular soldier. Said he could build a tunnel underneath the Confederate lines and blow it to smithereens. Somehow they decided to go with it. Nobody thought it would work. Nobody thought they could do it. And it ended up being a disaster, just a total disaster. The building of the mine and the blowing up of it worked perfect. But after that, it was just a total slaughter. So, hopefully I'll get part 2 out next week sometime. I went about 2 or 3 weeks ago now. So, anyways, I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to pause this here and see if y'all can't read it. Just amazing. That's this is not the original, but it is the same kind of gun they used, mortar they used during the war. But it said it could throw a 220-pound mortar almost 2.5 miles. It would throw a daggone shell from here to Chesterfield, where I'm at. Unreal. This is kind of the way they had it hooked up. But it was such a terrible recoil, they'd have to rebuild the platform from time to time. Just fascinating, man. 2.5 miles. Jeepers. This is an example of some of the earthworks they got up here. You imagine trying to charge that cannon up there in that hole? First off, you got to traverse this little pit here where you got fellas there shooting at you. You got to get around the blockades they got up yonder. You got to get over this some kind of way. Get down in that big old trench and then climb that hill. This place has got daggone earthworks all over the place. Petersburg was completely surrounded by earthworks at one time during the war. Just amazing. Just some more footage of the 4-mile road they got back through here, through Park Road. It's nice in the fall, real pretty. We're coming up to the crater now. there it is. It's filled in a lot. At one point after the explosion, it was almost 200 feet long, like 60 feet wide and over 30 feet deep. Mud and clay and everything down there. Once the soldiers got in here, they couldn't get out. It's so slick. It was just a killing field because the daggone Confederates stand on top of the hills. Once they got over the shock of it, and they just stood up there and started firing at them. And eventually they was able to retake the ground. The initial blast sent fire of 200 feet in the air. It was the largest man-made explosion at that time. Had 4 tons of daggone black powder down there. They wanted 6.
The war, he joined a political biracial party that was in support of having black representation, and not just the state assembly, but in Congress. And he donated land for what became Virginia State University, a historical black college. So, you know, man, that was Confederate. Months worth of siege before the war comes to an end. When the area was so close. So, yeah. You're welcome. Where is that?
The Confederacy faced disaster here on the morning of July 30th, 1864. Then, at 9 a.m., William Mahone's Confederate division arrived. Before all of his brigades had even formed, 5 of Mahone's Virginia regiments, 800 men, swept out of the ravine to your right and across shell-torn fields toward the crater.
I shall never forget the magnificent appearance of that long line of tattered uniforms as it swept across the field in the face of a tremendous fire that with every step was thinning our ranks. I kept on until we got within 5 feet of the ditch where the Federals lay. It was literally filled with them, crouching in every conceivable position with their palms raised, crying for quarter. Richard Davis, 12th Virginia Infantry.
It's awful windy out here. I don't know how well you can hear me, but that's actually the back side of the crater. I don't know if y'all can see that road. It's way down yonder. Car passing right now. That's actually Crater Road. I have to take that to go home. But it was unreal what happened here. It was just the carnage is just unreal. The brutality. But I've got some pictures of inside the crater. It's filled in quite a bit now. It was just a 10-hour battle and a long siege and a long, even longer war. It caused a lot of damage. People had to pay a big price in order to do this. And then at the end of the day, it ended up being nothing. Everybody went back to their own spots as where they were at before. Something like 5,500 men were casualties, wounded, killed, missing, captured for 10 hours. That's almost 10 a daggone minute. You had almost 300 South Carolinians and Virginians get blowed up in the get killed in the initial explosion. Lots of monuments. That was a blast. I used to enjoy coming up here as a kid, man, just looking at that guy on crater. It's a small piece of battle, an even smaller piece of the whole war, but to me it always amazed me. And I hadn't been here in a few years. Everybody's always disappointed when when they get to the crater and it ain't as big as they think it is, but they got to figure it's been 150 years, about 160 years. But so it, you know, it's filled in quite a bit, and it wasn't an important part of the war or the battle, but it's I don't know, it's just always fascinated me, just like them ironclads fascinate me. And to know it happened right here, just 15 minutes down the road from me, I don't know, it's hard to believe. Just about everybody and their brother was here. Beauregard, Meade, Lee, Grant. I mean, it was just in the thousands and thousands of men here. Over the over the 9.5 months, I think it was like 70,000 men died here, or casualties, excuse me. But the earthworks they have out here, I think it's a great trip for anybody if they want to stop by and look at it. I really do. They have 3 or 4 pullovers where you can view things, and it kind of leads you through the siege of Petersburg, what it does. Not only the battle, but the siege of Petersburg. It's probably, I'd allow probably 3 hours or so, because they have a daggone 20-minute video at the Welcome Center. And then they have, if you want to use one of the rangers, they have rangers that give tours. That's probably a 2-hour tour. But I went by myself, and this probably took me 2.5, 3 hours by myself. And I stopped, took my time, and looked at everything. But it's just fantastic to think about it. It's hard to fathom the carnage it took on here. I don't know. But I appreciate you watching. I got a lot of footage, a lot of pictures. I don't know how much of it's going to get in a video, though. How much of it's any good. There was a tour group here, and had to avoid a lot of people, so we'll see. But y'all take care, and I appreciate you watching. Hope you enjoyed it.